What's happening, everybody? Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Top 10 Songs. Today we're going to tackle one that I actually hadn't mentioned, but thought about it this morning and said, hey, I want to do this one next. So the Whitesnake one's going to have to wait. We're going to tackle Queen, all right? A great, great band. A legendary band. One of my favorite bands of all time. One of the best frontmen of all time. May he rest in peace, Freddie Mercury. And a just ridiculous discography of amazing albums that made picking out 10 of them, 10 tracks from them, pretty damn difficult, but I was up for the challenge. So I've got a top 10. It's a good top 10. May not agree with your top 10, okay? Again, these are my personal favorites. This list could probably change at any time. I think if I were to do this a month from now, it might be altered a little bit. Some would stay, some would go. I've got a boatload of honorable mentions that touches on most of their albums. So let's just dive into the top 10, shall we? So coming in at number 10, a very heavy song from an album that I love a lot. Their second album, The Mighty Ogre Battle, which, come on, could possibly be a precursor to like thrash metal, right? I mean, it's so damn heavy. Great song, just the lyrics are fun. The guitar work by Brian May is great. It's Freddie in his early shrieking days. I love it. Ogre Battle, number 10. Coming in at number 9, complete opposite end of the spectrum. From the wonderful, probably my favorite Queen album, Night at the Opera. Love of my life. Tender, gorgeous, probably one of my favorite Freddie Mercury vocals ever. It's just so incredible. It's just such a touching, poignant song. Always loved it. Always loved it. It's probably the only one of its kind sitting in my top 10, but it's okay. Got to have a nice ballad in there every now and then, right? So Love of My Life, number 9. Coming in at number 8. For me, kind of the sequel to Bohemian Rhapsody. I think a tune that they kind of intended to be that next big kind of rock meets opera bombast type of thing, but it didn't really catch on, and it's probably not as ingenious as Bohemian Rhapsody, but I still love it a lot. From the Day at the Races album, the Millionaire Waltz. I just love the whole kind of like majestic, real British way about it. It's very charming, and then all of a sudden it turns into this blitzkrieg rock, heavy rock bashing, and with this killer Brian May riff. Just a great tune. I've always really liked it. I like that album a lot, and the Millionaire Waltz always kind of stood out for me from Day at the Races. So that comes in at number 8. Coming in at number 7, we're going to go to the Game album, the amazing, funky, heavy Dragon Attack, which has some of the most savage Brian May guitar work on any Queen song, I think, and my favorite tune off that album. Always has been since I first got it. Way back when, in the early 80s, so that comes in at number 7. Coming in at number 6, a fun tune, a perennial hit for the band, and from an album that I think doesn't get the credit it deserves, from the jazz album Fat Bottom Girls. It's just such a fun tune. It's a great anthem. It's got some great guitar riffs in it, great vocals. The rhythm section is just, John Deacon and Roger Taylor just pumping it out, man. Great tune, Fat Bottom Girls. Coming in at number 5, for some people, it's going to be two opinions on this one. It either is the greatest Queen song of all time, or it's a song that so many people are sick of they never want to hear it again, and just there's no way it would touch their top 10. I also fall into the camp that I'm kind of sick of hearing it, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's just a brilliant song, and it had to be in my top 10, okay, just because I've always loved it. And it's one of those tunes, if I've only heard maybe 3, 4, 5 times a year, not an issue. When you got to hear it every time you go somewhere, that's another thing. And with the movie being so popular, obviously I'm talking about Bohemian Rhapsody, right, off the Night at the Opera album. Just a real classic, ingeniously crafted song. Again, overplayed, sure, but a classic nonetheless. Yes, so right there, it's going to finish right about midway in my top 10. Coming in at number 4. Also from the same album. Man, Night at the Opera is well represented here. The epic, brooding, heavy, proggy, almost metal at times, The Prophet song. How kind of dark and ominous and just bludgeoningly heavy is that tune? I mean, so many really great heavy songs from the early Queen canon. And actually, all throughout their career, they always had like a couple of really heavy tunes on all their albums, or at least most of them. Pretty much most of them. The Prophet Song for me, great tune. Coming in at number 4. Coming in at number 3 from Sheer Heart Attack, Stone Cold Crazy. That also a contender for early thrash tunes. You think about some of the heavy tunes from that era. So we talked about Ogre Battle before. Stone Cold Crazy. A couple tunes from Black Sabbath, certainly from the Sabotage album. Hole in the Sky, Sense of the Universe. Some really early stuff that kind of predated that kind of speed metal and thrash that we became so prevalent in the 80s and the 90s. So Stone Cold Crazy. Can't beat the original. Metallica did a good job on the remake, but man, the original is so much better. Coming in at number 3. Coming in at number 2. Back to the first album. I just can never get enough of the riff of this song. I just think this is early Brian May at his best. The mighty son and daughter. That whole tune is just, undulating with grooves and heavy riffs. And a great Freddie vocal. Just always love Son and Daughter. I love the first 2 albums. Just are so good. So good. So that comes in at number 2. Coming in at number 1. Might be a surprise for a lot of you. Probably guessing, what the hell is he going to pick for number 1? It's going to be a newer song, an older song, whatever. Well, I'm going to go back to the second album. Another epic tune that just combines everything that was so great about Queen in the early days. Bits of prog and bits of like kind of opera-ish stuff and proto-metal, right? Hard rock, all that stuff rolled into one. It's bombastic. It's, just deliciously good. March of the Black Queen. A perfect Queen song for me. And again, another one of those early tunes that embodies everything that was so great about Queen in the 70s. And I just, whenever they play, if you can go and seek out any of the versions that they played that live on stage at the time, even better. Although they condensed it quite a bit when they played it live on the album. It's kind of like it's 5 or 6 minutes long, but they usually played about a minute and a half, 2-minute long version of it, that rampagingly heavy section with the piano intro and then the great riffs. Oh my God, love March of the Black Queen. That is my number 1 favorite Queen song of all time, believe it or not. Okay, so you're probably thinking, God, he's missing out on so many hits and all that kind of stuff. Well, if you know me and you know this show, I don't just pick the hits to pick the hits as the top 10 songs. These are my top 10 songs. And though I like all those songs, it's amazing. I don't think there's a Queen song that was ever recorded that I don't like. But I like some more than others, right? I tend to like a lot of the kind of, deep album cuts and whatever, and hear a lot of the heavier stuff for the most part. But let's go and take a look at my honorable mentions. And again, I'm not going to mention every single song from every album. I'm just going to pick the ones that kind of really resonate with me the most. Those are my honorable mentions. There's a lot of them. So let's get going. We're going to go all the way back to Queen 1. Keep Yourself Alive. Doing All Right. Great King Rat. Liar, which Liar was bursting at the tip of my top 10. Love Liar. My Fairy King, okay? From the second album, Father to Son, White Queen. Love White Queen. Seven Seas Awry. Great tune. From Sheer Heart Attack, Brighton Rock. The quirky, majestic Killer Queen. Always love Killer Queen. Flick of the Wrist. The mighty Now I'm Here. That also was sitting right outside my top 10. In the Lap of the Gods Revisited. Now, I know there's In the Lap of the Gods, which is very cool, but I love In the Lap of the Gods Revisited. Totally separate, totally different tune sitting at the end of that album. Wonderful. From A Night at the Opera. I felt really bad about leaving anything off A Night at the Opera because I just love like every song on there, but I want to give a shout out to Death on Two Legs. I'm in Love with My Car, regardless of whether the rest of the band loved it. That's a great Roger Taylor song, and I always dug that a lot. You're My Best Friend. Great radio hit, right? Just a great song. Brian May's 39. A gorgeous tune. I always like 39. And The Heavy Sweet Lady, right? From Day at the Races, how about Tie Your Mother Down, right? You and I, just you and I. Somebody to Love. Another great, great tune. White Man. Just another really cool, heavy tune from Queen. Long Away, gorgeous song. From News of the World. Now, of course, you got to mention We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, okay? But I was never hugely into either one of them. But you got to recognize them for the great tunes that they are. The title track, not the title track, should have been the title track of Sheer Heart Attack, but they included here on News of the World, Sheer Heart Attack, Spread Your Wings, and the mighty It's Late. From Jazz, I love Mustafa. That's such a fun tune. Bicycle Race, also cool. Let Me Entertain You. Dead on Time. Great riff in that song. Don't Stop Me Now. Great fun anthem right there. From The Game, how about Play the Game? Another one bites the dust. Crazy Little Thing Called Love, right? Sail Away, Sweet Sister, and The Mighty Save Me. From Flash Gordon, basically a soundtrack, but a couple of cool pieces on there. The Hero. That's worth it for the price of admission right there. Flash's theme. From Hot Space, an album I really don't like much, but Put Out the Fire is great, and I love Under Pressure. In fact, Under Pressure was originally in my top 10. I just think that's a spectacular song and a great duet between Freddie and David Bowie. And if you haven't had a chance to go see at the Freddie tribute concert back in 92, a fantastic duet between Annie Lennox and David Bowie that just brings me to tears every time I watch it. Just so good. But that's the only two from Hot Space. From The Works, pretty solid album. Tear It Up. Radio Gaga, another tune that was originally in my top 10 that squeezed out. I love Radio Gaga. I think that's just a great pop tune. I Want to Break Free, another good pop tune. Hammer to Fall. Tear It Up and Hammer to Fall, really heavy tunes. Is This the World We Created? Great tune. From A Kind of Magic, how about the heavy One Vision? Title track, It's a Kind of Magic. Love that tune. I love it even better on the Live at Wembley live album. Who Wants to Live Forever? That song gets me every time. You got to think that was Freddie singing about his plight, right? Give Me the Prize. Also up for probably heaviest Queen tune ever. There's a handful of them that are, there's more than a handful of them, but there's a couple that just sit head and shoulders above the rest. And Give Me the Prize is just, man, that's like metal. That's like 80s metal right there. Princess of the Universe, another great tune, kind of epic. From The Miracle, how about the title track? How about The Mighty I Want It All? The Invisible Man, Was It All Worth It? Another tune, possibly Freddie singing about what was going on with him. All right, from Innuendo, a great album. They had one more studio album which was put together after Freddie passed away from unreleased stuff and things, but Innuendo is really their final album, and what better way to go out, man? The title track, epic. Headlong, Had You Rushing Headlong, another crushingly heavy tune. The Show Must Go On, brilliant stuff. These Are the Days of Our Lives. I like that tune. Catchy little number. The Hitman, another really heavy tune. And I Can't Live With You. All right. And let's go to the final Queen album. Okay, Made in Heaven. Title track's pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of this album in general, but Made in Heaven's pretty good. The gorgeous Too Much Love Will Kill You. Now, whether it's that version on that album or the one that Brian May did on his solo album, Back to the Light, they're both amazingly touching and one of those kind of tearjerker tunes. Whenever I hear it, it just, you just start thinking about, Freddie and, the tragedy that he left us and all that kind of stuff. And I just think it's just such a poignant, emotional tune. Love it. And Let Me Live. That finalizes my lengthy honorable mention. So let's go back to the top 10, run them down, starting from number 1, The March of the Black Queen. Number 2, Son and Daughter. Number 3, Stone Cold Crazy. Number 4, The Prophet Song. Number 5, Bohemian Rhapsody. Number 6, Fat Bottom Girls. Number 7, Dragon Attack. Number 8, The Millionaire Waltz. Number 9, Love of My Life. And number 10, Ogre Battle. That's it for Queen. Top 10 songs. Hope you dug it. Let's hear your top 10 Queen songs in the comments and feedback below. Like I said, nobody's right or wrong here. It's all personal preferences. So whether you choose, you want to pick the hits or pick the songs that just really resonate with you the most, doesn't really matter. Whatever you like, you like. Whatever I like, right? A great band nonetheless. A band that has really no bad songs. Well, maybe some on Hot Space. But anyway, a band with just a ridiculous amount of fantastic songs that are, so many of them are just timeless. My list just barely scratches the surface. And like I said, a month from now, I might even pick half of my list might be a little different. That's just how much I love Queen and love their songs. And, I go through phases where certain albums I like more than others, certain songs I like more than others. It's just the way it is. So let's hear your favorites. In the meantime, visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, here on the mighty YouTube very, very often. What do we got coming up? Whitesnake Top 10 Songs sometime over the next few days. We'll have another question and answer show for you this weekend. And I don't know, all sorts of stuff. I got a whole list. The top 10 songs list is going to be a little crazy. I'm away on business trip for a couple days next week, so you might see a little slow up from Tuesday to Thursday. But then I'll be back for the following weekend, and we'll continue on, doing what we're doing. So take care, guys. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.